So here we are in Carrboro at Weaver Street Market, and your name is
Colin, Carrboro, Carrboro.
Okay. And you're from the
Vermont, New Hampshire.
You grew up there.
New Hampshire, yeah. I've been living in Vermont the last 5 years.
And you got interested in rolling around and seeing some of the country. What's your history? What's your motivation for escaping the capitalist treadmill and getting around and seeing people in the world?
Well, yeah, I traveled a lot when I was younger. From like 16 to 22, I was home free, and saw 33 states in North Africa and Europe, and a lot of time homeless, a lot of like profound revolt and upheaval, and from a young age, and sort of as a young hippie.
We're talking about what years then? You were
mid-90s,
15 or so?
16 about, yeah. So 96 on. And then, I don't know, Occupy Wall Street got called this summer. We got called, I saw it getting called out online or whatever, but it didn't interest me immediately. But when I started paying attention to it, it took on a lot of meaning, because it wasn't just one action of let's take down Wall Street. All these social justice issues were coming out right away strong from the center to the left and back, and people were finding strong voices. And then within a week's time, the NYPD was brutalizing people internationally through YouTube videos, meaning everyone was seeing these pepper spraying instances from the start. And the day after the Brooklyn Bridge arrests that happened in a mass, I think it was October 1st, that next day I went to Occupy Boston. That was 3 days after they set down. And I organized and worked, and then I went, like many people, I got burnt out. I went back home to Vermont. I still had an apartment for a month. I kept protesting. There was a GOP debate at Dartmouth College near where I lived in Vermont on the New Hampshire side, and other things. And then I went to, I gave up my apartment overnight, November 5th, and went down to Occupy Boston. And it wasn't until a while into it that I just really started knowing I was traveling.
So, and you got interested in meditation then along the way?
9 years ago, I got sober overnight. And I did that through Buddhist meditation. It was just part of what I sort of decided to change overnight, this sort of conversion experience, to make a better life for myself on my own, since it had gone so wrong. and that way I was never, in that way I was never invited into the quote capitalist treadmill. I was blown apart by it from the start. I never found it meaningful. It was a meaningless life presented to me, and I suffered on the streets because of that. Whether I was traveling as a traveler or homeless and crazy in my own towns, in my hometown.
And so you see yourself as seasoned and cured of the capitalist disease?
I hope that for all of us. Can I make that our prayer? I don't know. I don't have a thorough understanding, or one that is good enough to grip on capitalism. And that way, I'm not entirely aware of what could go in its place or its inner workings, except that I am becoming much more aware recently of how things like profit is a legal obligation of a corporation, that every quarter or such there are laws that the corporation must profit. So when you add that into a mix, and they're making things that are supposed to be society benefit, like whether it's medications for cancer or just a range of things that can help us be alive together in better ways, healthy. And when that is instead turned into you legally are bound to make a profit, I mean, that just shifts the whole thing. I mean, and it's bound to go to an abyss or whatever, to not work out.
And you got hooked on with with meditation, you practice regularly now?
Well, not in the last 7 months, but I tried to. I mean, it's part of my life. I mean, I studied hard back in Vermont, and I studied hard in New Hampshire, where I was living before that. I went to retreats the first few years a lot. I traveled the country sometimes to do them, and that's a lot of work. And then I sat day in and day out with a Zen monk, an American Zen monk in Vermont for 5 years. And I came to this area as I traveled through Occupy. It's almost 4 months I've been traveling now. Because of the North Carolina Zen Center below us, about like 25 minutes in Chatham County, Pittsburgh. So I've been there a couple times. But the real lessons have been on the street, just kind of traveling, relying on character discernment, because in moments you meet family, so to speak, and you drop paths and leave because you're either leaving or they're leaving. It can last a month or two, or it can last a day or less, but it's important to find those resources of just, not only will you have usually material things to share, like a ride or a jacket, a styrofoam cup, or whatever. I mean, that sounds pathetic, but it's kind of illegal to be homeless in this country with the way, you know, the UN recently reprimanded severely Sacramento's mayor and city and police because over the homeless in Sacramento, they have nowhere to go to the bathroom at night and nowhere to get running water at night. The UN itself is coming down on an American city like Sacramento. That's just the tip of what travelers have dealt with, like myself, for 15 years, never mind, you know, longer or whatever.
So the police state grip is tightening, do you think, or staying the same? Or
the hysteria is, which means they're afraid of letting go. They're afraid of conceding power when they know, and that way they lose their moral authority. Because hysteria is violence in this way, in this example. And in that way, ordinary so-called Americans, people who are not necessarily politically inspired or aware of the where their lives meet the political because of maybe comfort or even privilege, who knows, are only going to be inspired and motivated as more protesters join and more people who occupy from the start or from this time or before, they'll be themselves galvanized by more sacrifices because nothing's being improved upon in the government. It's only Occupy that's making changes. And a large scale.
It seems to me that it's possible that meditation practice is antithesis to capitalism.
Hopefully.
and that there is a problem trying to get over to Eastern thought,
right.
Because not only is it's a world away, but it's a galaxy away in the way we approach things and think.
Uh-huh. And you know, I think of a simple answer to that is that, particularly in my Zen training, which I stick with now, and it's not really, it doesn't matter what the conventions are, the point is to see through them. So if it's socialism, capitalism, anarchism, see through them and fully develop who you are on your own terms with an awareness of the balance between your communication and reality of being in a society. So in that way, you just, I don't know, you be aware, you know, but Chuang-Tzu is an ancient Taoist, and he predates or set a very Buddhist tone and that exists within Zen as it formed in China. But those Taoists are very profound and Eastern, so it's coming out of the same forest, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he says, do not seek fame, do not seek riches or fortune, whatever. I don't know the exact quote. And he says, be all that heaven made you, and but act like you have received nothing. Be empty, that is all. So, you know, I think just the nature of really getting I don't know, spirituality. I don't want to use any stupid words.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to use sentimental words. A path of truth. I don't know. Will cut to the heart.
something that's deeply meaningful. And
Yeah.
you know, you talk about spirituality and deeply meaningful, and people get embarrassed. You know, it's like,
Really?
no, that's not part of the I want to impress you facade of normal life in America.
Really?
That's too real. We can't talk about that.
Not at the dinner table anyway.
It's too close to home. Right. Yeah. All right. So you're.
That's too bad. I see that though. I see that in my own situations growing up.
Yeah. So then the future is coming quickly.
Oh yeah.
And 2012 is going to be a big year for.
Spring's here in Chapel Hill. The American spring is here.
It feels nice here. But
We just got to let the rest of the global spring occur in nature or weather-wise, because everyone will be out, man.
Yeah, it'll be a good year. Well, thanks a lot for
Thanks,
your
man.
for your
Thanks
help.
so much. There's so much to say.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks.
it.